just from a technology perspective, for those of you who don't know, if you buy Zoom's webinar platform, and I'm not an affiliate or anything like that, you can actually broadcast your webinar live to Facebook. So I'm going to turn my camera off right now, and I'm going to go live on Facebook, and it literally allows you to pick where you want it to go, whether you want it to go on your timeline, or if you want to share to a page, or if you want to share to a group. And so I am going to go live on my Facebook page, and hopefully everything will work out okay. I did some testing with this earlier today. So if for any reason we are not live, if for any reason it's not okay, you guys will have to let me know. I don't see my Zoom panel anymore, Diana. Can you see my slides? Diana?
I can see your slides, but it's just the, you can see the notes and all of them down the side as well.
Okay, oh, there, is that better?
There you go, yeah, much better.
Okay, so you guys, now I'm back. That's why, because I was looking for the wrong thing. So, all right. So we are live and we are ready, and this is awesome, and I am excited. And I just want to say welcome to everyone who is here from all over the world. I love seeing all the different locations that people are tuning in from. If you are tuning in on Facebook Live, I would love to hear where you're watching this from. We are testing Facebook Live today. It's the first time that we have done this, and so it's really exciting to be able to reach so many people and share this information with everyone. So thank you so much for being here. Before we start, I'd like to share just a couple of the challenges that people shared with me when they filled out their survey. So when you register for the webinar, you got an email from me asking you what some of the problems were that you were having in your business that were preventing you from getting the results that you wanted. And there were a few things that I think were really interesting. So, one was personal debt, which is not a surprise because a lot of people go into debt when they start their business. It's hard to start a business without any money, and depending on the type of business that you start, it can be a significant investment. Another thing that really was hard for people is how to zero in on, what matters. So it's a big job when it comes to looking at your numbers. So zeroing in on what really matters feels like a lot of work. And because it feels like a lot of work, there tends to be a lot of avoidance. Another piece of feedback that I got is people have a lot of fear or doubt because they don't feel like they've got clarity in terms of what they need to do. And because they don't have that clarity piece, they find themselves procrastinating. Another was selling your products and services, not feeling confident about the sales process. And I see that a lot. People want to start businesses and people want to make money, but they're not comfortable articulating or communicating the value of what they do and selling their products and services. And then one of the last ones that I thought was interesting is too many gurus. There's too many people out there telling people what to do, and this is the way you should do it. And people are feeling overwhelmed by all the direction and input and kind of struggling with, what is the right thing for me to do, and when should I trust my own judgment versus doing what somebody who is supposedly more experienced than me says I should do. So those are just some of the highlights that I wanted to share with you. So let's move along, and before we get started, I'd like to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I am not in my inbox when I am talking to you guys on this webinar. So if you're having a problem and you need help, the best way for you to get help is to either send a message to Diana, who is here on the webinar. She's one of the panelists, or to email Diana@LisaLarter. Yes, we are recording the webinar. So we're recording the webinar a couple of ways. Because we're live streaming to Facebook, there will be a recording on my Facebook page. And we are recording through Zoom, and we will upload a copy of the recording to YouTube there. So once we have the webinar done and we have an opportunity to look at both of the recordings, we'll figure out what the best one is to send to you. We are using the internet, and that means that everybody is connected wherever they are. If you are having connectivity issues, I recommend that you turn your Wi-Fi off and tether directly to your internet cable. Otherwise, you can watch the replay later on if it's really bad. My internet is connected. I'm hardwired into the internet, so there shouldn't be any issues on my side. Want to remind you, I do have a brand new 9-week-old puppy. Yesterday was her birthday in the house. So it is possible that she will make some noise during this webinar. So, I just want to tell you that because it may happen. I'm not going to apologize for that because that's what my business was designed for. My business was designed so that I could work from anywhere, and I could be at home, and I could be with my pups, and that really matters to me. And so you may see her, or you may hear her on the webinar. And for those of you who are just joining and you haven't seen her, I'm going to turn my video on for a second. This is Sunshine, and she is sitting on my lap while I am doing the webinar today. So she's pretty, pretty sweet. She weighs 3 pounds, so she's very, very, very tiny. And then lastly, I would really like this webinar to be interactive. Whether you're watching on Facebook or you're watching here, I'm going to be asking you for input and feedback, and I would love to see you interacting with me in the chat. It's when you are presenting a webinar like this, you can feel like you're all alone talking to your computer screen. So it's really nice when people are communicating in the chat. I am not on the Facebook chat right now because I'm in the Zoom room, but I will be going into the Facebook chat later on and responding to people. So that is it. So how about we start by getting people into the chat box and let me know, is this your first webinar with me, or are you new to webinars with me? That would be great for me to know. All right, so we have someone who is new, and then we have someone, we have a few people that are new. That's fantastic. I love it when we have new people who join the webinars. All right, so because we have some new people joining the webinar, I am going to tell you a little bit about me. I promise not to take too much time here, but I think it's important that you know my background. So my background is I was raised by a single mom, and we didn't have a lot of money growing up. So I was forced into entrepreneurship at the age of 12 because my mom couldn't afford to buy me the things that I wanted. And so at the age of 12, I started making crafts and bringing things to the flea market and selling them on the weekend so that I could buy things. And fast forward, later on, I started to work in retail. I moved to Ottawa to live with my dad for my last year of high school. I ended up dropping out of high school my last year and worked my way up in retail. In 1996, I was recruited by ClearNet, which is a Canadian telecommunications company that was bought by TELUS. I worked with them until 2006 when I left and I opened my own TELUS dealership. So I have worked for very, very large corporations on the retail side, managing $100 million in retail sales and a team of about 1,000. And then I have run my own bricks and mortar store, which did over $1 million in retail hardware sales. And in 2006, I sold that business to do what I do today full time, which is coaching, consulting, advisement, training, events, helping small business owners increase sales and profits in their business. So the purpose of today's webinar is your money is your business. And there's one thing that you should know about me. I've always been good with numbers, but I have not always been good with money. In my 20s, the only thing I knew how to do with money was spend it. And I spent a lot more than I made. But something interesting happened when I was in my mid-20s, 26 years old. I met my husband. And when we decided to move in together, he wanted to buy a house, and I didn't have any money. All I had was debt. And, we were able to buy this house because he was responsible with money. And so I chose to become responsible with money when he trusted me enough to make that big life investment with me. And, the reason that I share that with you is because you do not have to have problems with money your whole life. You can choose to change the way you view numbers, and you can choose to change the way you look at numbers. When I was 26 years old, which was 20 years ago, I didn't think I would ever be able to afford to buy a house. And now we own 3 homes. We own a cottage in Nova Scotia, a home in Nova Scotia on the ocean, and a home in Naples, Florida. So never underestimate the power of decision. You can make one decision in your life that can change everything, regardless of how bad things are at any given time. I really, really, really believe that. So let's talk a little bit about business, because business is hard. And, I gave you guys some feedback about some of the problems that people are facing. And, if you think it's hard to be a business owner, try being a lobster. You realize it takes a lobster 7 years to reach a full pound. That's why lobster is so expensive and so valuable. A lobster has to hide itself in between 2 rocks and shed its shell multiple times during its lifetime. And when it does that, it is at great risk of being killed by predators. When a lobster lays eggs, they have to lay something like 30,000 eggs, and less than 0.1% of those eggs survive. My husband always says to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. You have chosen the path of entrepreneurship, and running a business and making good money is going to be hard. There are going to be challenges, but there are also going to be rewards and joy if you learn how to run your business from an objective perspective instead of from an avoidance perspective. Reality is 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years, and 50% of the remaining businesses fail within 5 years of that. Here are some things that I can tell you that I know firsthand from working with hundreds of business owners over the last 10 years. There are a lot of people out there working crazy hours. Businesses don't fail because business owners don't work hard. Business owners work really, really, really hard, but they can't all afford to pay themselves a decent salary. In fact, some of them, if they paid their employees the way they pay themselves, would get sued. Many business owners never know how their business is doing. They don't look at the numbers. They operate blind, and they avoid paying attention to those details. In some cases, they wait until the last minute to file their taxes with their accountant. And in many cases, I've worked with people who have been many years behind on their taxes. Business owners get surprises when it comes to their taxes in terms of how much money they owe. And sometimes that is the very thing that causes a business to go under. I've also noticed a theme where many business owners, when they're feeling insecure, they look to external things to try to save them. So they spend money on expensive coaches, courses, branding, fancy photo shoots, shiny new websites, thinking that those types of things are really going to help them. And really all they end up with is more debt and regret. And that's because they don't have the right business foundation. When you have the right business foundation and you invest in those things and you know where you're going, it can make a significant difference. A lot of business owners struggle with lack of expertise around pricing, profits, value, and margins. And so what they do is, because they're not confident with selling and or pricing, they price their products and services really, really, really low, and they end up not being able to have enough sales to survive. And this really creates a scarcity mentality, which drives your sales down and perpetuates starving business mentality. You know, Seth Godin says you're either in the race to the top or the race to the bottom. And there's a lot of people that think that price is the deciding factor. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can charge big prices for things and people will still buy from you. Lastly, there is an overwhelming lack of comfort with selling. And because people are uncomfortable selling, it makes their marketing ineffective. It's as though you are marketing to get likes and approval instead of leads that will help you create a sustainable business. You see, we're afraid of rejection. And we think that if somebody says no, it means that our prices are too high, or it means that they're never going to buy from us, or we did something wrong. You need to get comfortable with people saying no and get comfortable with the selling process and marketing to the right people so that you can reduce the number of no's that you get and increase the number of sales that you generate. Because your job as a CEO of your business is to generate sales. You're not a grocery store clerk waiting for people to come through the cash. You are the CEO, which means it's your responsibility to drive your business. So how do you do that? What is the solution? These are the things that we are going to talk about today. Things that can help you, 3 things that can help you build confidence around how you are currently running your business. So the first thing is develop a solid business model as a foundation for all you do. When you have that foundation, you can't help but have greater confidence, clarity, and control in your business. The second thing is to align your marketing with converting leads so that you're not throwing money away carelessly with no real return on your investment. And then the third thing is measure and track the key business numbers so that you know what they mean. Numbers do not have to be scary. You don't have to know every single thing out there, but there are some basics that you need to know when it comes to running your business that can be guideposts that help you to know whether your business is doing well or not. And when you learn to interpret those numbers, you can learn how to do more of what drives things in a positive direction. So all in all, if you want to change the situation in your business, you need to build up your skill level in these areas. And when you build up your skill level in these areas, you should expect to create a more sustainable and a more profitable business. So I'm going to go through a lot of information with you today. For some of you, it might be overwhelming. And I want to tell you, there is a recording, so you can go back through this. But even if you just take away one thing today, one thing that you can anchor in your business to make a difference, then it is a good use of your time. At the end of this webinar, I have a special invitation for you to join the pilot project. I know some of you who are on here are already members of the pilot project or the Pilot to Profit Success System. I am going to be making an offer to those who are not, and those who are the alumni, you're going to receive an invitation to go through this new round that's starting for absolutely free. So you don't need to worry about buying anything. All right, so let's talk about business models. Anybody want to guess what this business model is? I'd love to hear in the chat. What do you think this is? What is this business? It's not rocket science. Pretty easy. It's a cheese market. Absolutely, a French cheese market. So when you go to a cheese shop, do you get your nails done at the cheese shop? Do you buy office supplies at the cheese shop? No, you buy cheese at the cheese shop. Maybe you buy some jams and jellies to go with your cheese. Maybe you buy some meats or crackers to go with your cheese, but you don't buy nail polish or office supplies at a cheese shop because A cheese shop knows what its business model is. It knows what its core products and services should be. When I started my business, it kind of happened by accident. I joined a lot of networking events when I owned my retail store because I wanted to use my networking to drive traffic to my store. And at the same time, I was learning a lot about social media and online marketing and how to drive traffic to the store using online technologies. And every networking event I went to, I would end up speaking or on the board. And one day, this woman tapped me on the shoulder and she said, you know, Lisa, if you would hold a workshop and teach us what you know, we would pay you. And I said, really? Doesn't everybody know this? So off I went to the next networking event that day. It was a luncheon. There were 20 people there. I got to talk to 10 of them. And I told 10 of the 20 people that I was going to hold a workshop on social media for your business. Instantly, I had 10 people giving me money to attend this workshop. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a sales page. I didn't have a description. All I had was an idea. And that's how most businesses start, with an idea. But the problem is you can't run a business chasing ideas. You need to get clear on what your business model is going to be. So if you don't get clear on your business model, you're not going to know how you really make money. So after I started doing these workshops, I wrote out 3 buckets that I wanted to build my business on. I wanted to focus on working with people one-on-one. I wanted to focus on one-to-many, or working with people in groups. And I wanted to focus on zero-to-many. I wanted to create products that people could consume without me so that I could create passive income. Well, let me tell you, I learned something really fast about passive income. There's no such thing as passive income. You have to work really, really, really hard to generate passive income. But I also learned that each of those buckets needed to have different price ranges in order to service different segments of the market that I was targeting. I was targeting small business owners. So I needed something that people in startup could afford. I needed something that people who were scaling could afford. And I needed something that people who were in growth mode could afford. So let's talk a little bit about Oprah Winfrey's business. Oprah Winfrey has several businesses, but one of her businesses is really the business of being a public figure. And I want to go through the business model, high level. You can watch her on TV for free. You can buy her magazine or books at a relatively low cost. You can enroll in a program that she offers through Super Soul Sunday with one of her superstar performers for a little bit more. You could buy a ticket to one of her live events, or you could do like I did, and you could buy a $1,000 behind the scenes VIP meet and greet experience. She has different levels, different areas in her business for different segments of the market. What about Apple? What's their model? Apple sells technology. They sell computers, they sell cell phones, they sell tablets. They also sell accessories to go with the technology. And they sell Apple Care or warranties to go with the technology. Do you ever notice that you couldn't buy lipstick at an Apple store? No, because Apple knows their core business is not lipstick. And Oprah knows what her core business is. And neither one of these companies, whether they are a retailer or a personal brand, are chasing money. When you start a business, it's easy to say yes to everything when you do not have a clearly defined business model. So let me ask you, and I want to see the answer to this in the chat. Have you ever said yes to something a customer wanted you to do for money and then regretted it? Yeah, me too. I have said yes and then instantly regretted it. So when this happens, this is a sign that you are not in alignment with your business model. If you know your business model, it's easy to say no. So there's a few people here who have said no. Kudos to you. You are in alignment with your business model. A lot of people will say yes because in the early stages, they will do anything to make money. We need to stop that. We need to get clear about what our business is all about and only say yes to the things that are within our zone of genius and our sweet spot. So when we think about business models, which is, how you make money, and if we think about Oprah and the Apple example, they have multiple streams. Some of those streams are more valuable than others. So you may have heard me tell this story before, rocks, pebbles, and sand. I keep coming back to this analogy because it is so valuable. If you had a dish full of big rocks, a dish full of pebbles, and a dish full of sand, and you poured the sand in first, and then you poured all the pebbles into a jar, and then you tried to fit all the big rocks in the jar, they may not all fit. But if you reverse the order, and you put the big rocks, it's a science experiment. You can Google it and watch it online. But if you put the big rocks in the jar first, and then you shake the pebbles in and let them settle, and then you put the sand in and let it settle, you still have room for water. What happens in business is your big rocks are your big ticket items. Your big rocks are the big revenue generators that help you reach your sales goals the fastest. Your pebbles are your mid-level offers that help you to generate additional growth in the business. And then your sand should be easy to buy, easy to sell, easy to consume. Think of it as gravy. But here's what people do. This is the risk and what most business owners fall into. They get stuck in the sand. All they do is sell sand. They don't have any differentiation between sand and big rocks. Everything they are selling is so inexpensive, it's really hard to get any traction. So let's talk about what your business should look like. I call this the path to 100K. Because if I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. I just want to make $100,000 a year. Well, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can make $100,000 a year. You can find 14,286 people to buy a $7 ebook, or you can find 4 people to pay you $25,000 a year. You will not find 4 people to pay you $25,000 a year if you're not confident about what you are selling. So I want you to think about your business. What is your rock? What is your pebble? What is your sand? What is it that you are selling? How can you create a model? So if you look at this is everything that I sell listed here. So you'll notice that if the average sale price starts really high at the top and goes down really low, and the number of buyers starts really low and goes really high, you have to pick your pain point. It's hard to sell a $25,000 offering, but I think it's harder to find 14,286 people who want to spend $7 on an ebook. So you have to decide, which horse do you want to ride? Which bunny do you want to chase? Because you cannot do both. You cannot focus on all things and expect it to all happen. The other thing that I want to tell you is when I first started my business, I focused on one thing. I focused on finding 10 people who would spend $1,000 to $1,500 a month working with me for a year. And I found 10 people within 60 days, and that was how I was able to get my first 100K. So it doesn't matter if you want 100K or if you want 500K. You can manipulate these numbers. You can have multiple channels in your business that are generating $100,000. But if you look at your business model and you have too much sand and not enough big rocks, then you need to think about what can you do differently. So I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Is it helpful to see this type of data on the screen? Can you take this data and translate it to your business and see how you can create different price ranges for your clients. Because I believe that there's a lot of people out there that don't have their business segmented in such a way. And you know, Desiree, it's okay that it's not that expensive for your products. I did this webinar a little while ago and somebody was talking about selling ornaments and they have a retail store. And I said, well, instead of just selling individual ornaments, why don't you put packages together and sell a package of 10 ornaments or a package of 30 ornaments so that you're selling a higher price point, and take the most desirable ornaments and put them in the package so that that's the only way people can get them. I went to a conference years ago and there was an author there selling books, and I went up to her table and I picked up a book and said, I'd like to buy a copy of this book. And she said, oh, sweetie, I'm sorry. I'm selling it as a bundle. You have to buy all 3. So what do you think I did? I bought all 3 because I wanted that one book, and I didn't want to, I felt uncomfortable to walk away and not buy all 3. So I ended up buying all 3. You don't know who's going to say yes and who's going to say no. You want to get creative. I worked with somebody once who also sold vitamins, Cindy, and she had a 25% off sale in her practice. If you bought vitamins, you saved 25%. And I couldn't help but notice that all of these vitamins had a layer of dust on top of the lid. And I said to her, okay, you need to change your strategy. You need to do a buy one, get one 50% off, which is an automatic 25% off too. Lo and behold, she changed her strategy, and all of a sudden she was selling vitamins like out the wazoo because the new pricing strategy made it a lot easier for her to do that. So if you have recurring orders at 20% off, I'm not sure if it's a network marketing business or if you actually own a health store. So I don't know if you actually have flexibility in terms of pricing. You have an online store. Awesome. So you can play around with how you price and package things, and maybe instead of selling 1 unit, you could sell 2 or 3 units and drive your average sale up, which is something we're going to talk about later on. All right, so moving right along. Remember solution number 2? That's what we're going to discuss now. How do you align your marketing so that you can reach your sales objectives? Marketing is the action or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. So let's talk about the stages that you need to go through in terms of marketing to get a sale. In order for people to know you, in order for people to choose you, they have to know who you are. So if they're not aware of who you are, they cannot choose you. In order for people to remember you, you need to remain visible. We don't remember people's names that we meet in person. So if somebody sees you once online, that's not enough. Your marketing has to have a velocity of repetition so that you are highly visible. In order for them to demonstrate any level of interest, they have to engage with you. Whether it's walking across the lease line into your store, sharing a blog post, commenting on something, there's got to be some type of interaction. Now, once they take more action, like joining your mailing list or crossing the lease line and having a conversation with you in your store, you've actually converted them into the first stage of serious interest, or the lead stage. Once you do that, you need to be able to build trust with them by nurturing the relationship. If you're in a retail store, you need to build rapport. If you're in an online environment, you need some type of a nurture sequence or campaign so that you can build trust with these people. Once you have nurtured the relationship, if and only if you are marketing to the right people, you can create an opportunity for them to buy something. When people know you, they like you, and they trust you, and they're interested in what you offer, it is my belief that you will eventually create a sales opportunity. Just because somebody doesn't buy the first time you make an offer does not mean you have failed. You need to be resilient in business. So I want to talk about this little one for a second. Okay? We got her late Friday night. And excuse my messy desk, but do you see that one over there in the bed? Well, Mr. Eddie was not impressed, okay? Mr. Eddie says, what the heck is going on with this puppy? She's little, she's jumpy, she's got high energy. He stayed as far away from her as possible. He wanted nothing to do with her. And yet she kept going up to him and she kept trying, and he growled at her, he snapped at her, he ran away from her. And then an interesting thing happened on Monday in my office. He was lying in his bed like he does every day, and she tried to get in the bed, which is a big struggle because she's so little, and he jumped out of the bed. And then he came back, she tried to get in the bed again, and next thing you know, she's in the bed with him for all of 60 seconds. Well, on Tuesday, she gets in the bed, and there's a stuffed animal in between him and her, and they slept together in the bed for about an hour. And then Wednesday, she jumped in the bed, and she snuggled and wrapped her little body around his bum, and they slept in the bed all afternoon together. So this little puppy at 9 weeks old doesn't give up because the dog snarled at her the first time. But as business owners, we often give up the first time somebody says no. You need to learn to be resilient when you are the CEO of your business. Because when people say no, sometimes it's because you're marketing to the wrong people, and sometimes it's the wrong timing. But you always want to still be nice to people when they say no. You know, I had reached out to somebody this year about some Facebook advertising training, and the timing of when they could work with my team didn't work out. And so I told that person that I wasn't going to move forward with the training, and I hired somebody else who can help us with some of the training needs that we have during a better time of day. But when I emailed that one person who I was very interested in working with to let them know that the timing just wasn't going to work for us, that individual never replied to my email. You can't behave that way in business. You cannot burn bridges. You cannot take it personally when people are not ready to say yes, because you don't know when shoppers are going to turn into buyers. There's lots of people who have been on my mailing list for years before they buy something, and I don't assume because they haven't read every single email or bought every single thing that I send that they will never buy from me. And the opposite is I have people that are on my mailing list that have bought everything I do, and in some cases they bought it twice and I've needed to refund them their money. So, you know, the value that you provide people in the relationship will eventually create an opportunity for you to sell. So let's talk about how do you sell more? Because the most important part of your marketing is your ability to turn shoppers into buyers. The percentage of shoppers who buy is what you call conversion rate. And I want to show you how you can use conversion rate to double and quadruple your sales. But the only way that this will be effective is if you track the data that I am going to show you. So there are only 3 ways, like I said, that you can sell more. One is you need to increase your traffic. You need more people to know who you are. The second is you need to increase your conversion rate. This is a measurement of your sales and marketing effectiveness. Traffic is a measurement of your marketing effectiveness. The percentage of people who buy from you is a very valuable metric. And thirdly, you want to increase your average ticket price or average sale. This reflects the average amount that each buyer spends. So I want you to remember your marketing should be designed to drive the best traffic possible, the best qualified traffic to your place of business. You can use conversion as a measurement in a bunch of different places with your traffic. You can measure conversion on web traffic to mailing list to email opens to website clicks to sales. And if you measure that data closely enough, you will soon learn what works and what does not work, and you will be able to do more of what works. But when you operate in the dark, you end up repeating the same mistakes over and over. So let me show you how this works. Traffic times your conversion rate equals your total number of sales. So 10 times 10%, if I have 10 people who land on my website or walk across my lease line and 10% of them buy, I get one sale. If one sale is $100, my total sales are now $100. Are you guys all with me? Yes or no? Does this make sense? Do you understand the conversion rate times the average price point? Okay, awesome. So, if you just focus on one thing, doubling your traffic, if you double down on your marketing effort and you get more traffic into your business and you still only close 10%, you will double your sales. Because instead of having one sale, you'll have two times $100 equals $200, just because you doubled down on your marketing and got more traffic. And if you get better at selling, and let's just say instead of only selling to 1 in 10, you could sell to 2 in 10 or 20%. If you could sell to 20% of 20 people, you would have 4 sales. And 4 sales times $100 means that now you've gone from $100 to $400. You have quadrupled your business. But what if you doubled your traffic, you doubled your conversion rate, and you increased your price by double? You could literally take your business from 100 to 800. So the question, the most important question you need to ask yourself is not how do I do all of this? Because you only have to get better in one vertical, traffic, conversion, or price point, and you can double your sales. But the question you need to ask yourself, and I'd love to hear from you in the chat, what is your problem? Is it traffic? Is it closing sales? Or is it pricing? Because whichever one it is the thing that you need to work on. If you don't know what it is, then it's really hard to fix that problem. People often make big mistakes in terms of, overestimating what they can do in their business. Somebody will come to me and they'll say, it's a classic 100K a year model for coaching, but they're charging $50 an hour. Well, why doesn't this work? It's impossible to get paid $50 an hour of every day of the week for 50 weeks of the year. It's just not going to happen. So that person is never going to reach their goals because they have unreasonable expectations. They haven't done the math and figured out how much time does it take to build the business, how long does it take to get clients, how much time do you need in between clients, how much time do you need to do marketing. These are all variables that you need to take into consideration when you are developing your business model. I see that we only had one person brave enough to share in the chat, whether it was a traffic, closing, or pricing issue. I'm guessing there's a lot of people that probably have issues with all three, and that there's a lot of people that don't even know what their conversion rate is. All right. So the third thing that we were going to measure is how to measure these things. After you have established your business model, you need to start measuring what matters. And I write about this in detail in my book, Pilot to Profit, and I go through it in detail in the pilot project. You cannot change outcomes in business if you do not measure what is happening. So where should you start? The first place you want to start is forecasting. So what is forecasting? Forecasting is projecting what you think your business can do. It's projecting what you think your sales can be. It's projecting what you anticipate your expenses to be. If you don't have a forecast, it's like you're operating in the dark, or back to the grocery store model, you're just the recipient of what happens. It's not your customer's job to determine the direction of your business. It's yours. And it all starts with planning. You know, think of forecasting like fuel in your car. You don't get into your car and drive on a 6-hour trip without knowing if you have enough fuel to get there. You need to plan and project the things that you need in your business as a baseline. And if you have a business already, the best way to do this is to look at your historical data. You know, I have a client who has a retail store, and they just opened a second retail store, and they're a little bit disappointed with how the second retail store is doing. And I asked them a question. I said, your first retail store has been around for 5 years. Is your second retail store doing better than your first retail store did in its first year? And they said, I never even thought about looking at that. So it turns out that the second store is doing better than the first store did in the first year, but they actually thought it wasn't doing well. So when you look at these numbers, it helps you get clarity around how your business is doing. The next thing you want to do is you want to start tracking your sales. Why do you track sales? Because if you don't know how much revenue is coming into your business, it becomes really difficult for you to figure out how much money you have to spend in your business. So my recommendation is, if you are a retail store, you should track your sales on a daily business. If you are any type of service-based or online business and you don't have a high volume of transactions, you should be tracking your sales on a weekly basis, but from a month-to-date perspective. So in my coaching and consulting business, every Monday I look at my sales month-to-date, and I always measure this year's sales against last year so that I can see whether I'm up or down. I pull reports out of the systems that I use to invoice people, and I always add comments into the Excel spreadsheet where I track my sales manually so that I can remember what I was doing that month when I'm looking back a year. Because let's just say I launched the pilot project this month and I do, I don't know, $50,000 in sales. I'm just pulling that number out of the air. Well, next year, March might look really, really high, and I might wonder why. So you want to make sure that you're adding comments in to see how you're doing. And you do want to see, are you beating last year for the month in sales? Are you beating last month for the month in sales? One of the reasons that I track manually is there is something magical about typing the number in instead of just pulling the report. When you have a report that you update, a dashboard on a regular basis, and I give you these tools in the pilot project, you feel so in control of your sales, and it makes it a lot easier for you to know at any given time exactly how your business is doing. And what should you look for? You should look for trends. Is your business trending upward? Do you have peak times where your business is really busy and other times where your business is low? If you have times where your business is low, let's say last year April was low, well then in February and March you probably want to step up your marketing to try to drive more leads into your pipeline come April. But you don't know that if you're not looking holistically at your sales at a month. You know, you're not looking at a dashboard that shows you every month and the year. The next thing you want to track are your expenses. Why do you want to track your expenses? Because we misinterpret money all the time. People look at the balance in their bank account and they think that that is their money, and it's not. You know, the money in your bank account also includes money that you owe in taxes. And as an aside, if you don't have a business bank account, the first thing you need to do is separate your money from your business and personal. You need a credit card that is business only and a bank account that is business only. And I don't care if you're a sole proprietorship, do not commingle your personal and business expenses. Separate it so that you can assess the financial health of your business easily. When you mix it all together, the water is muddy and you cannot know with certainty how your business is doing. So you want to track your expenses because you want to know how much it costs you to run your business. You should be tracking your expenses on a monthly basis. You should be printing your bank statements and your credit card statements on a monthly basis and really looking at where you spend your money so that you can ask yourself, is this a need to spend, a nice to spend? You know, because what I find happens, and I talked about this earlier, is when people are feeling insecure, they start spending money on the things that they don't really need. So if you pull your bank accounts, your bank statements, and you look at them on a monthly basis, you can look at your debits and credits and see at a glance, are you spending more than you're depositing? If you are spending more than you're depositing on a regular basis, you are headed for bankruptcy. You want to get yourself into a situation where you are spending less than you are making every single month. You want to get yourself into a situation where you're paying attention to your forecast and you're adjusting your forecast from a sales and expenses perspective to be in alignment with what is really happening in your business. Not knowing what it costs to run your business is risky business. Not knowing what you spend in expenses is risky business. And not knowing what you owe in taxes is dangerous. You do not want to get to the end of the year and find out that you owe more in taxes than what you have in the bank account, because that will create unnecessary stress and anxiety for you in your business. The last thing you want to track is cash flow. Cash flow is more important than customers, because when you run out of money, the bank doesn't care how good your customer service is. Cash flow is the timing of when money hits your bank account. When I opened my retail store, within 90 days, I had a $100,000 bill on my desk for inventory, and I did not have $100,000 in my bank account. Talk about needing to eat some humble pie. Talk about not being able to sleep. Owing $100,000 and not having $100,000 does not make for good pillow talk, let me tell you. I had to find a solution to that problem and figure out how to turn my cash flow situation around so that I wasn't $30,000 in my credit card or in my credit line and $10,000 deep into my credit card and then another $20,000 into my personal credit line just to cover the bills. When you track your cash flow, and I have a magical spreadsheet for tracking cash flow, you can anticipate what the timing of every expense and every inflow in your business so that you know where your business is at any given time. I'm telling you, tracking cash flow transformed my business. The only reason I was able to sell my business and make money off of my business was because I got my cash flow in order and was able to accumulate equity in my business that was valuable to someone else. It's really, really, really important. All right, we are almost done. We've been at this for almost an hour. So, has this been valuable? I would like some feedback. What was a takeaway that you got today that you can apply to your business right now? I would really love to hear. Was it the path to 100K? Was it the stuff on conversion rate? What resonated with you the most in this webinar so far? Okay, great info, fantastic. The buckets, good. Path, the path. People love the path. Take that path and I put a screenshot on my Facebook page yesterday. Take it, save it, and figure out how you can do that for your business. Absolutely. Fantastic. Awesome. All right. So I'm guessing that some of you might feel like you could use a little bit of extra help with this tracking. And, if with your permission, I would like to share with you how the pilot project can help you create some systems that are timeless that you can use in your business over and over and over again. Now, I know that the pilot project may not be for everyone, and that's okay. But for those of you who'd like to build some extra confidence around how to run your business, not only am I pretty certain this can help you, I know it can help you because I've seen it help other people. The pilot project isn't a $2,000 program either. In fact, I've discounted it to less than $150 today. So, would you guys like to hear a little bit about the pilot project? And do I have any pilot project or P2P alumni on here today? Awesome. All right. So, first thing is the pilot project also started out as an idea. It really started as an idea in the shower one day. I had this idea that people really wanted to know more about the business of running a business. I was doing a lot of work teaching people about marketing and social media, but I kept having these conversations with my clients about numbers and tracking and conversion. And so I thought, I want to create something that helps people understand money and systems and hiring and communications. And so I posted something on Facebook to see if anybody was interested. And we had 130 people enroll in the first class. So let me tell you a little bit about what the pilot project is, and then I'm going to get into the benefits of the program. So it's a 10-week program that's designed to be easy to buy, easy to sell, and more importantly for you, easy to consume and implement. Each week for 10 weeks, you receive a lesson delivered to your inbox. And each of these lessons can be read or listened to via audio. And each lesson comes with an action-inspired assignment, otherwise known as homework, plus templates, tools, and spreadsheets that you can take as your own and use in your business. But that's the mechanical stuff, all right? Let's talk about the benefits. So week one, we do this thing called a business debrief, where I ask you 25 crucial questions about your business designed for you to take a really good look at your current reality and to get clarity on where you want to take your business next. This is the foundation of the work that I do with clients privately. It's the work that Robert Fritz does in the book called The Path of Least Resistance. You cannot reach your desired state if you do not know what your current reality is. And I have had people tell me that this exercise alone was worth the price of the program. The next week, we go into the details of your business model. How do you create a business model that works for you? How do you get those buckets in your business? How do you get those rocks, pebbles, and sand and get clarity? And the really great thing about this program is as you're doing this work, you can ask questions in the group and share your buckets and get feedback from other people. You can get an accountability partner as you go through the program and really hold yourself accountable for doing the work. The third week, we get into all the money systems, the tracking. This is a big week. There's a lot of spreadsheets here. Tracking sales, tracking cash flow. It's probably not a week's worth of work. It's probably a month's worth of work. But you can still continue to go through the program and putter along at tracking your stuff as you go. Progress matters more than perfection. And one of the great things about the pilot project is when you become an alumni, you have lifetime access. We've had some people go through this program 5 or 6 times, and every time they get something new out of it. So if you find yourself getting overwhelmed, pick one thing and focus on that one thing and do it well, and then go back and do the other stuff later on. The next week, we focus on hiring. Everybody tells you you need to hire employees, subcontractors, a VA, help. So we're going to talk about what I call a factory capacity model. When to hire, who to hire, and how much to spend so that you are not trading 4 quarters for $1 in your business. Because if everything you're bringing in is going out to people you're hiring, then your business is not making money. And you as the CEO of the business need to be making money in your business first. So we're going to talk about how do you do that. Next, we're going to talk about earning what you're worth. How do you price things the right way so that you've got a deep enough profit margin to make money and survive? We're going to talk about how to do that so that you get comfortable with the discomfort of asking for what you are worth, regardless of whether you're selling widgets or you're selling services in your business. After that, we're going to focus on your ideal client. Remember I talked earlier about marketing to the right people? Well, if I was trying to sell you plumbing fixtures right now, instead of talking to you about a business or about a program that can help your business, everybody would have dropped off of the webinar. But because my call to action or my offer is something that is in alignment with the marketing for this webinar, people are listening. You need to market to the right people, and then you need to have the right offer based on your marketing. You need to know who these people are, and this will help you get clear. In week 7, we're going to work on clear communication. How do you have those difficult conversations with a subcontractor, with an employee? How do you set expectations and performance manage when somebody makes a mistake repeatedly? These are the things that a lot of small business owners avoid because they've never had any official training on performance management or how to have boundary conversations with their employees. This is what this module is all about. And then the following week, oops, I'm clicking the wrong place. We are going to talk about managing expectations. Have you ever had a situation where you really wanted to set a boundary with a client, but you weren't sure how, and you felt like you were being taken advantage of? Yes, can anybody relate to what that's like? Every time I am in a situation like that, I figure out how do I manage that up front so that I don't end up in that situation again. I'm going to teach you how to have boundary conversations and set expectations in the front end so you don't have to have those boundary conversations. When you manage expectations in the beginning, you actually diminish those types of things from happening down the road. And then the last module is all about the bottom line. How do you gain clarity and understanding how to continuously nurture the bottom line without obsessing and stressing? Because you don't want to obsess and stress about your numbers. You want to have a process where you know what's going on with the bottom line at any given time, and you are in control. You are in control of your spending, and you are in control of your revenue generating. As a business owner, I want you to feel like you can turn on the faucet and generate sales anytime you want in your business. That's how I feel. I could go online today and generate $5,000 in sales if I had to. I want you to feel that confident in your business, that there are things that you can do that can automatically drive an influx of cash flow into your business when you need it. And then we will wrap up with another assessment, because I want you to measure the progress and see who you are becoming as a business owner when you go through this process. So you will complete one more questionnaire, and when you do that, I would love for you to celebrate your wins with me. But the thing that's most important to me is for you to see who you are becoming and the progress that you are making by doing this work. Everybody wants a successful business, but a lot of people are not prepared to do the foundational work that sets their business up for long-term success. This program is designed to help you do that. So what's it cost? The regular price of the pilot project is now $397, and the promotional price is $147. If you go to lisalarter.com/TPP and you enter TPP webinar, and the TPP has to be all capitals. Diana, Catherine is having a problem with the code not working. Can you, I think the code is tested. So can you just double check, Catherine, that the TPP is all in capitals? You should be able to discount this to $147. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the bonuses that you get. The first bonus is, live social media and business strategy webinars. So one of the webinars that I'm going to teach you are launch lessons. Everything that we did that worked and everything that we do that goes sideways on launches, because I'm sure you would like to know the nitty-gritty details. We do webinars on behind the scenes things, like what it took for me to run a big event for 350 people. We figure out webinars that are high value for you on a monthly basis. Whoops, I went too fast there. You also get lifetime access to the pilot project. That means any updates, changes, and improvements made to the program belong to you at no additional cost. Anytime the program runs, you get invited to participate for free. And you get to become a member of our Facebook community. As long as you don't break the pitch-free rules, because this is a community of learners and supporters, it's not a community for pitching, then you can stay in that Facebook community for as long as you like. But here's the thing, Facebook Live is one of my favorite things to do. And I plan on showing up in this community, especially when we are going through the program together over the next 10 weeks, to answer questions on a regular basis. It is important to me to answer your questions live. And if you're having problems with those spreadsheets, to jump on and show you exactly how to fill them out so that we don't have user error. You know exactly what to do and how to do it. So those are your bonuses, but there's a couple other bonuses that I would like to offer to anybody who decides that they would like to join the pilot project today. One is I'm going to send you the galley copy of my book, Pilot to Profit. If you haven't read my book, it is a great companion to go with this program, and I will send you the galley, which means you can read it on your phone, you can read it on your mobile device, or on your computer. The second thing that I'm going to do is my good friend Sue Zimmerman is going to come on and do a live Zoom webinar like this with me, and it's going to be a complete open Q&A on Instagram for members of the pilot project, and you will all be invited. The price of the program is $147, and yes, that is Canadian $147. So it's a pretty sweet deal in my opinion. So that's it, guys. That's what I've got for you today. So I would love to, turn my video back on and answer any questions that anybody might have. I don't see any questions in the chat right now, but does anybody else have any questions that they would like to ask me about anything that you learned today or about the program? If there are no questions, I'm happy to let you guys go. And I see we have some people who are joining, so that's fantastic. I really look forward to working with you in the program. Yeah, Lori, it's going to be great to go through this again. Why do you think the average small business owner does not do a business plan? Great question. Probably because they don't know how, Susan. So when I opened my store, I had to do a business plan because I needed a business plan in order to go through the RFP process to be awarded the right to have the dealership that I opened. And my business plan was 14 legal pages long, not including all of the financial plans that I put together. So I really believe that some of the reasons that people don't do a business plan is because they don't know how to do that plan. And I'm more than happy to talk a little bit about business planning and to share some templates with people inside of the P2P community as people get going, if they think that that would be something that would be of value to them. Does the course have to take 10 weeks? You know what, Carol, it does. And in some cases, it should take more. There's a lot of information in the course, and we drip it out to you 1 week at a time. I would say, you know, you can ask the alumni. In some cases, it could take 20 weeks if you do all of the work. You know, honestly, this should probably be a $2,000 program when you see the amount of value that you get. So, you know, you can fast track through the 10 weeks if you are what I call an Action Jackson. But what I have found is most people need a little bit of extra time in some of the weeks, and they end up taking a little bit longer than 10 weeks. Am I a believer in the one-page template? Yes, I am, Susan. So I had to write a really in-depth business plan, but for my own business, I like a one-pager. I actually do 2 full-day planning workshops each year. I do a full day and a half day where I teach people to plan for the upcoming year, and then I help people reforecast and replan halfway through the year. And I always am advocating a one-pager that they use as part of that planning. And I suggest people print it and frame it on their desk so that they can see it at any given time. What program do I use for sales tracking? I use FreshBooks for invoicing and Infusionsoft for online, and then I pull reports from those software and I put the numbers into Excel. So I have my own templates that I use for sales tracking that I give away in the pilot project. And obviously, I get sales tracking from my bookkeeper on a monthly basis, so P&Ls and balance sheets and all that kind of stuff. But I like my manual Excel spreadsheets because it allows me to track what I want to see and have a dashboard that works for me. Great, Todd. I'm glad that you'll love the cash flow spreadsheet for both of your businesses. All right. Kathleen, that is absolutely true. Take your time and work as slowly or quickly as you need. It does take time. Is the program in an online classroom? No, it's delivered to you via email. So you will get a username and password to log into Customer Hub, and you can download the modules from there. You also get an attachment with PDFs on each weekly lesson. But if you want to listen or download the audio, you can through Customer Hub. But I don't like classroom video training where I have to log in and stay in there. I like a program where I can click download and have access to it on my computer on my time and my terms. So it's not online classroom, but there will be some times that I will publish inside of the community where I pop in to answer questions. Do I do those planning days live? Yes, I do. Every year. I've done them for about 3 years, Janet. I'm surprised you haven't been through one. I always do the full day planning workshop in November, and I typically do the midday planning workshop in July every single year. Is this for sales in the business program? I'm not sure what you mean I don't know what you mean by that question. You don't need to buy this, Juliet. You already have it. So you're going to go through this automatically, free of charge. Thank you, Darlene. I agree, Kathleen. It's very important to track your numbers. When I have my retail store, I track every single day. If you have questions, you can email Diana at lisalarter.com. She will answer all of your questions, and if it's something that she feels I need to answer personally, she will reply and copy me on the email, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have as well. Can't believe we still have so many people on. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. How long is this offer available? Well, it's supposed to be a fast action offer, meaning we were only going to leave it up for 48 hours. But I decided then that I was going to put this on Facebook. And because I put it on Facebook, I kind of feel bad now because I know some people are going to be watching this long after the webinar. So I'll probably leave the offer available until the program starts on April the 3rd. The shopping cart for this, though, will close out on April the 2nd. And then the price will be $397. So if you don't go through it right now, but you decide you want to go through it as a self-study, you can buy the program at any time for $397. Alumni are going to either get an email later today or first thing tomorrow morning. We're working to get the recording email out to everybody today, and I've already posted about it in some of the alumni groups, so no worries if you're trying to get in. If you are in the pilot project group or the P2P group, I shared the link to the new Facebook group. You can request to join, and we're going through and confirming that people are alumni today as well. The code should work. So somebody else has used it and it's been working. You need to make sure that it's capital TPP webinar. And if you can't get the code to work, please let Diana know. She will be happy to work with you offline if you can't get it to work right now. All right. Okay, guys. Well, I'm super excited for those of you who are posting in the chat that you're joining the program. I really look forward to working with you. I promise you that you are going to love going through this 10-week live experience. Juliet, I know you're a little bit ahead of people, but I'm telling you, you're going to love going through this live with people today. And I look forward to getting to know all of you better. I will be very active in our community with this program, so you'll be seeing lots of me. All right, everybody, peace, love, and happiness. And I am going to wrap up the webinar today. So thank you so much for being here.